he says. Mwapele then tackled the poacher, grabbing the gun, but the poacher got away.
There's elephant meat in the boat.
The men find the poacher's canoe, weighed down with fresh elephant meat, still dripping blood. Even more hangs off the sides.
This is to take out the tusk.
It's a sickening image of a trade that has decimated the park's elephants. The non-profit group African Parks, which runs Odzala, estimates that Central Africa has lost 62% of its forest elephants in the last decade. In this park alone, thousands have been killed in the last 5 years. In the week we spent here, we only saw one alive. The park, about the size of Connecticut, is patrolled by just 76 eco-guards. Not nearly enough, but some 40% of them are former poachers themselves, which helps big time.
They know how poachers work. So it's easy for them to think like them.
It's part of a program created by Ekel in the last year, where poachers are given amnesty if they hand over their weapons and confess. Ekel says this raid is proof his program works. But the unit's successes come at a price. This is a country where corruption is routine and where poaching with impunity has been a way of life. All these eco-guards have been threatened. Frank Bolangonga tells us 3 men attacked his wife. They tried to rape her, but she was strong. She pulled back and her dress ripped off and she ran away, he says. The same men who Bolangonga says are part of his village's poaching ring tried to attack him. He stabbed one of them. The unit doesn't find any elephant ivory, but does end up with 4 guns, ammunition, and a cell phone, a potential lead to the poachers. The eco-guards torch the camp to send a message. These men often find themselves pursuing people they once worked with, friends, neighbors, and even family members. In the ever-evolving fight against the ivory trade, out here, it's now personal.
Bangladesh is in crisis. This after election-related violence claimed the lives of hundreds of people. The opposition has accused the ruling party of massive vote rigging, but the ruling party has denounced the accusation and in return blamed the opposition for terrorist activities. The Bangladesh National Party, as we hear in the CFI report, says it will continue blocking roads and even promised to call for another strike on Monday to protest the results.
The opposition boycotted the polls, allowing the ruling party to win by a landslide. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's Awami League faced no competition in 153 voting districts out of 300. It won 80% of the seats up for grabs in Parliament, but the opposition claims there was massive vote rigging.
I see in the press there was massive fraud in the Dhaka polling stations and that many people were killed. To me, this is not an acceptable election. I saw on many TV channels that people didn't go to the polling stations. In addition, there were forgeries. We think this cannot be compatible with democracy. It would be better if this parliament were dissolved and fresh polls were held.
But the ruling party denounced the accusations of fraud and condemned what it called terrorist activities by the opposition. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party said it would maintain road blockades and called for another series of general strikes starting Monday in protest over the election results.
This election commission is absolutely spineless. It's subservient to the government. It's a puppet of the political party. So their data is totally not acceptable. We have the data from the various centers, and according to that, so far, only 3 to 5% votes have been cast.
On Sunday, thousands of opposition supporters attacked and set on fire hundreds of polling stations. Voting was halted at 150 different locations. Security forces said they were forced to open fire on protesters in 6 different incidents around the country. 26 people died in the rioting, most of them opposition supporters killed by police. This makes Sunday's vote the deadliest in Bangladesh since the country was created in 1971. A total of 500 people died in protest in 2013. 150 of those since October alone.
It's the first time in 20 years that temperatures have dropped to minus 40 centigrade. The massive freeze-up has killed at least 11 people in the northeast of the United States. And the largest opposition group in Syria, the National Syrian Council, says it will not take part in peace talks scheduled for January 22nd in Geneva, following the announcement that the National Syrian Coalition Group will participate in the peace talks. We have more on these and other stories in the CFI roundup of news.
Jarba has been re-elected to head the National Syrian Coalition, an opposition group. Voting was held in Istanbul on Sunday. Jarba has held the post since July. The coalition now will or will not participate in the peace conference scheduled for January 22nd in Geneva. The largest opposition group, the National Syrian Council, is boycotting the talks. 5 female land activists were arrested by Cambodian authorities in Phnom Penh as they prepared to stage a rally for the release of other imprisoned human rights defenders. The activists are from the Boang Kak community, where thousands of families have been displaced for a private lakeside development in the capital. Opposition to Hun Sen is growing. Friday, security forces fired on textile workers rallying for higher wages. At least 3 people were killed. A massive freeze-up in the northeast of the United States has left at least 11 people dead. In New York, Boston, and the New England area, temperatures with wind chill factors have dropped to minus 40 centigrade, the first time in 20 years. Highways in and out of New York have been closed, including the famous Long Island Expressway. Many residents are staying home. Scientists still do not understand this rather large phenomenon. Another 39 whales have beached themselves on a shoreline in the south of New Zealand. The whales could not be saved by local officials. Rangers were forced to shoot some of the whales to put them out of their misery.
We now take a second break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. And in sports, Serekunda West are the champions of the 2013 Skybank-sponsored Super Nawetan football tournament. Musa Bangura's 59th minute strike was enough to hand the Serekunda side their first Super Nawetan title. Momodu S. Jallo watched Serekunda West make history, and he now reports.
At the Independence Stadium, where Serekunda West has gone into the history books of Gambian football by winning their first Super Nawetan title. Serekunda West defeated Brikama by 1-0 in a very, very pulsating encounter. Brikama came into the game as defending champions, while Serekunda West came into Sunday's final chasing their first Super Nawetan title, whilst Brikama were aiming to defend their title. So history was on the cards in the country's most exciting domestic football competition. The Fisheries and Water Resources Minister, Mas Aksigai, set the ball rolling, and the defending champions, Brikama, in green colors, got the match underway amidst a colorful atmosphere with great fanfare, typical of the Super Nawetan. When these two sides met in the group stages, the game ended in a stalemate. But with the title at stake, this was a totally different contest. As expected, both sides fielded their best possible strongest squads. It was a slow start, but gradually the game sparked into life. But neither Brikama nor Serekunda West was able to find the target. The first period ended goalless. The two sides remained unchanged after the break, with both coaches sticking to their tactics. After a dull affair, Serekunda West broke the deadlock midway into the second period, when Musa Bangura bundled in the ball from Mohamed Konate's free kick to give his side the lead. The Hawks' left-sided midfielder reacted quickly to sneak in front of the Brikama defenders to strike the ball into the bottom corner of the net, and the Serekunda fans went wild.